Democratic Congresswoman Susan Wild of Pennsylvania. She is a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for making time for us this evening. Do you have a better sense, given what has transpired today and us learning that American citizens were killed and the possibility that American citizens have been kidnapped and taken into Gaza? Do you have a sense of how that might change our calculation and our possible involvement in this situation?
Well, obviously, it will change the approach to getting those citizens out of Israel once that's confirmed. But I honestly don't think it's going to affect our approach overall to this, because Israel is obviously a very significant ally. A large number of Americans actually have dual citizenship in Israel, and many, many people from the U.S. visit Israel every year. So I'm not particularly surprised to learn that there were some Americans or known to be victims. I suspect that we're going to find out about more as time goes on. But I don't think that will change the calculus or the strategy. Because I think we were already looking at a very aggressive strategy towards this.
What exactly should our strategy be going forward? I know yourself and members of Congress put out a statement saying our alliance with Israel is unbreakable. Our commitment to Israel's security is ironclad. But what does that actually look like in terms of tangible policy?
What it means is that we are going to do everything we can to make sure that we get back into session in Congress, which has obviously been interrupted by the events of last week, and allocate additional aid, supplemental aid for Israel. I was very pleased to hear today that the administration, that the Pentagon has announced that we will be sending additional munitions to Israel and moving more warships, including an aircraft carrier, closer to Israel. That's welcome news, but we are going to have to continue to show the U.S. support for Israel and specifically Congress's support. As you are undoubtedly aware, there has been a lot of acrimony in Congress in recent weeks and months about foreign aid, about spending in general. And I think it's really important for for the people of Israel to know that we are going to be there for them, that there won't be political games played over this. I think that's the most important thing we in Congress can do right now, is make sure that we are showing unity of purpose, unity in our voting, and that we don't allow Israel or what's going on there now to become a divisive issue, as so many things are in Congress.
When you look at what is happening right now in terms of the early stages of this operation, the concern obviously is to what extent the scope and depth of it looks like when Israel goes, and if it does go into Gaza, as some have suggested, with a ground invasion. How concerned are you about the humanitarian crisis that is unfolding there? Is there any concern that Israel may overextend or overreach its hand, as it has previously done in other operations inside Gaza?
Eamon, I'm always concerned about humanitarian rights. I'm on the Foreign Affairs Committee. I'm ranking member on the Subcommittee on Global Health and Human Rights. Humanitarian issues are always front and center for me. But I also recognize that this is a situation that demands action by the IDF. They must go in and attempt to rescue those poor hostages. I have to tell you, this is a really this hits home for me. I've been to Israel many times. My adult kids have been to Israel on their own and with other young people. The slaughter of 260 young people in the desert who were attending a peace fest, and many of them taken away as hostages. The idea that a Holocaust survivor is among the hostages, unfortunately, the circumstances are such that I don't think Hamas has left Israel any choice but to go in on the ground and to rescue as many people as possible. And do I hope that it will be with an absolute minimum of loss of civilian life? Absolutely. Hamas is no friend of the residents of Gaza.
Right.
The residents are going to be very much affected by this. It's tragic, but at the same time, I don't think you can possibly minimize the fact that there are hostages that have been taken over the border of Gaza. This was not something that was created by the Israeli government.
Congresswoman Susan Wild, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate you joining us this evening.